real quickly. This is what foreclosure is. Basically, there's all kinds of ways properties can get foreclosed on. An HOA can foreclose on our property. A private individual can foreclose on our property. There's basically an encumbrance which enables somebody to foreclose on the property and assume ownership and possession of the property. So typically, it's a bank that forecloses on a property. Although, like I say, it could be the HOA, it could be a private lender or an individual, as sometimes happens. So here are the typical foreclosure buyers, basically. There's professional investors, amateur investors, and the average consumer. This presentation is geared for average consumers, basically, not professional investors or amateur investors. So professional investor will buy at any stage of the foreclosure process, and we're going to talk about the stages of the foreclosure process. And the professional investor, what really sets a professional investor apart from all other, from amateur investors basically, is they're looking for cash flow or sure profit. And they don't speculate on rising property values. And that's one reason why there are so many foreclosures available today, because so many people speculated that their home values would always be increasing and that they could sell and then make a huge windfall profit and go about their business. So a professional investor wouldn't do that. Because they would always make sure that every single property was actually producing them money as opposed to costing them money. So the amateur investors, this is what they look like. They're basically looking for short-term, quick profits via some kind of a flip. And basically they're not really, I think the word investor is kind of a misnomer. They're really more like speculators. And that's why so many people lost out, because they were speculating on the future value, and that failed to materialize. And now we're in this this mess here. So okay, yeah, many amateur investors are in foreclosure today. Probably most, I should say, are in foreclosure today. So the retail consumer, that's who we're going to hear talk about today. Is basically how retail consumers, like somebody wants to buy a house to like live in, can benefit from the foreclosure tsunami that's upon us. So the consumers are interested in foreclosures because they want a discounted real estate. I mean, prices are still very, very high in Santa Cruz. I don't know if you saw it on Sentinel yesterday. Median home price down to $500,000 from $540,000. I think we're going to be seeing that continue throughout the fall and winter. Yeah, that's going to keep on going. And they suspect that that the best bargains are to be had are in foreclosure real estate. That's not always true. Any seller who is motivated and has the ability to sell not through a short sale, like probate sales, oftentimes are very good bargains as well, because they typically have 20 or 30 years of equity, and so when we're down, 5 or 6 years in equity, they still have plenty of cushion left. But typically, the cheapest real estate today are foreclosure properties. But a lot of people are kind of anxious about buying a foreclosure property because they don't really know very much about the process, and we're going to sort of lift the veil of secrecy on that and get into it. So there's 3 stages of foreclosure, really. The first would be a pre-foreclosure, which is what a short sale. You may have heard a lot about short sales. We'll talk about that briefly, although not too much. And then the middle stage, I call it, which is only a moment. It's the trustee sale on the courthouse steps. That's probably the most famous part of the foreclosures. Everyone knows where they auction off the properties on the courthouse steps. And then after the foreclosure sale, you can buy from the bank when it becomes what's known as an REO. And in fact, most foreclosure sales in Santa Cruz County are REOs, or to private individuals anyway. You can get in on a foreclosure before it actually happens. So it's not actually a foreclosure, it's just a buyer who's in distress, basically. You can approach these people directly who are in distress. It's a public matter. Notice of default is filed down at the county, and you can see it like in the Santa Cruz Record or on Realty Track. There's various ways to see who has had a notice of default filed, because it's a public notice. And you can try approaching these people directly to buy their property for them. Very few to none retail people would try and do that, just because it's far too complicated. It's basically a full-time job working a short sale for the most part. So hardly anybody does this. This is mostly some professional investors will do this because they are reading notice of default every day, and they are really carefully tracking the market to see if they can't get in and lock up a short sale before everybody else gets onto it. Let's see here. So short sale. A lot of listings that are right now on the MLS are short sales. I'm not sure what percent. I would probably guess 25% of the homes for sale are short sales, if I had to guess. Let's see here. And basically, somebody got into a distressed situation, either divorce, job loss. A lot of people actually are having their hours cut and their salaries cut, right? So like when that happens, it's really easy to fall behind on your mortgage payment. So one big thing is that people hear short sale and they think fast sale. It's actually the opposite. They call it a short sale because it means the bank has to accept a short payment. But in order to accept a short payment, they have to do months, essentially, of dithering and dilly-dallying and getting values and verifying that it really is a distressed situation on the part of the lender. And they might try loan workout options or whatever else. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into a short sale, and it makes the time period extremely long. So if you're going to do a short sale, just be aware that typically it will take months, 3 to 4, 6 months. I put an offer in a place on April 4th up in Felton. Was it September 19th? Still waiting. So short sale challenges, there's quite a few. The bank, there's no guarantee. Like when you see a list price on a short sale, that's completely meaningless. Basically, the bank will determine what they can sell it for. It does typically take months to get a short sale, even if you have an offer accepted. Like when you see it says pending on the MLS because it's a short sale, that's totally meaningless for the most part, because if another offer comes in, it's better, the bank's going to want that offer, right? So pending or not pending, it doesn't really matter. They frequently demand a higher price than the contract amount. That's because typically short sales are priced really low in order to induce people to make offers, because the hassle of a short sale is just so enormous. It has kind of a bad rep in the marketplace. People think, well, in order to entice the buyer, I'm going to really have to make this cheap. So oftentimes you'll see the list price is $500,000, sale price is $550,000, for example, on a short sale. And the very few short sales actually ever make it to the closing table. I don't know what percent, 15 to 20% perhaps, actually make it to the closing table. And the big reason for that is because buyers end up walking away because they don't want to wait 5 months or a year and a half or however long it takes, because there's so many other properties coming on the market, and they're typically in a declining market. Despite whatever you might read in the newspaper, the market is still declining, and properties come up which are cheaper all the time. They're like, wait, well, I can just buy this nice bank foreclosure really quickly, and so buyers walk. That's the number one reason. And the home oftentimes gets foreclosed while negotiating a short sale. I sell properties for the banks. I sell a lot of properties for the banks, and I'd say about 10 to 20% of the listings I get are actually in escrow as a short sale at the time that I actually get them. So just because you're in contract on a short sale really doesn't mean too much.